Welcome back to Saxon Math. This is lesson 37, adding and subtracting decimal numbers. When we add or subtract numbers using a pencil and paper, it is important to align digits that have the same place value. For whole numbers, this means lining up the ending digits. When we line up the ending digits, which are the ones place, we automatically align other digits that have the same place value. So for example, 23 plus 241 plus 317. When you're lining up the ones place, you're automatically lining up the tens place and the hundreds place and so on. However, lining up the ending digits of decimal numbers might not properly align all the digits. We have to use another method for decimal numbers. We line up decimal numbers for addition or subtraction, only in addition and subtraction, by lining up the decimal points. The decimal point in the answer is aligned with the other decimal points. Empty places are treated as zeros. So like this, for example, is an empty space, would be considered a zero. This empty space would be considered zero. We had to align the decimals. So 2 and 3/10 now becomes 2 and 30/100. This is 2 and 41/100. 31 and 7/10 becomes 31 and 70/100. And your answer is lined up. The decimals, you notice, are lined up immediately below each of those, and your place values held with that decimal being lined up. As long as you do realize that each of these digits, these decimals and digits, need to remain in proportion, or they have to stay in their general location, their exact location, not general, but exact location. So 2 and 3/10, it has to remain there. We can add a zero only because, and the reason why we do it is because there's this 1 hanging out here. It would be like 1 plus nothing, basically, which ends up being 1. This would be 3 plus 4, which is 7, plus 7 more is 14. We'd carry the 1. This would be 5. This would be 6 right here, and this would be 3 because there's nothing. So this would be 36 and 41/100 is what all of these add up to. Okay, so just looking at this question, in the number 2 and 41/100, what place is the digit 4? The digit 4 is in the tens, or the tenths place. And the 1 is in the hundredths place. That's 100 with the THS at the end. Example 1. The rainfall over a 3-day period was 3 and 4/10 inches, 26/100 inches, and 3/10 inches. Altogether, how many inches of rain fell during the 3 days? So you have to line up the decimals. So the decimals have to be perfectly aligned all the way down into the solution. The answer has the decimal alignment happening all the way down. Once you have each of those aligned, now you simply add. And you can place 0 in these spots if you would like to, or just recognize that it's 6 plus nothing there is 6. 4 plus 2 is 6, plus 3 more makes 9. Decimal comes straight down. 3 plus nothing, or 0 plus 0 equals 3. So in the 3 days, 3 and 96/100 inches of rain fell. Example 2. A gallon is about 3 and 78/100 liters. If Margaret pours 2 and 3/10 liters of milk from a 1-gallon bottle, how much milk remains in the bottle? So in this solution, you have to subtract 2 and 3/10 from 3 and 78/100 by lining up the decimals initially. And once you've done that, you need to recognize, well, you could have 8 minus nothing here technically. 8 minus nothing is 8. 7 minus 3 is 4. The decimal comes straight down in the answer. and 3 minus 2 is 1. So the answer would be 1 and 48 hundredths liters of milk. All right, let's try these out. Go ahead and do letter A, 3 and 46 hundredths plus 2 tenths. For letter A, you should have had 3 and 46 hundredths. You'd want to align the 2 tenths just like this, and you're adding those. I'd have 6, this would be 6. Decimal comes straight down, this would be 3. So this one would be 3 and 66 hundredths. Letter B, go ahead and do letter B. You should have 8 and 28 hundredths minus 6 and 1/10. The decimals need to align perfectly. Now I have 8 minus nothing, which is 8. 2 minus 1 is 1. Decimal comes straight down in the answer, and that'd be 2. So this letter B would be 2 and 18 hundredths. Letter C. Go ahead and do letter C. So this would be 735 thousandths minus 21 hundredths. I need to make sure the decimals are lined up. The 2 is right under the 7, the 3 is, and the 1 are lined up. There's nothing under the 5. This would be 5, 2, 5. Decimal comes down, we can't forget that, and 0 minus 0 is 0. You still need this. So we have, for the answer for letter C, it'd be 525 thousandths. Letter D, go ahead and do letter D. For that one, you would end up with 543 thousandths minus 21 hundredths. That would be 3, this one would be 3, this would be 3, and this would be 0. Decimal comes straight down. 3 minus nothing, 4 minus 1, 5 minus 2. This is your final answer right here. 333 thousandths. That's what that is. 333 thousandths. All right, letter E. Go ahead and do letter E. So you should have in letter E, it would be 43 hundredths. Decimal. Decimal for this one would be 1/10. And this one would be 413. The decimal's right here. So I need to make sure those are lined up properly. Now I have 3 plus nothing here. This would be like having 2 zeros right here if I want. And I'd have to have 1 0 right there. So then I'd have 3 here. This would be 4 here. This would be 8 plus 1 makes 9. So this should be 943 thousandths. 943 thousandths. Letter F. So for letter F, you should line up the decimals again. 30 hundredths minus 27 hundredths. And in this case, I've got to borrow. This would be 2. This would turn into 10. 10 minus 7 is 3. 2 minus 2 is 0. I need this 0. And I need this decimal. Decimal comes straight down, and I need this 0. So that's a big difference there. I bet some of you guys got fooled by that one. So that answer should be 3 hundredths. Letter G, 6 tenths plus 7 tenths. So for letter G, you should have 6 tenths, and you should have 7 tenths, and it's adding. And this would end up being 13, but the 3 has to go above the 1's place. The decimal is right there. That 13, carry the 1 over here. That makes it 1 3/10. I bet some of you guys got tricked by that one as well. I bet some of you tried to squeeze the 1 in between the decimal when you had to ignore the decimal for a second and just realize that it's 6 plus 7, which most of us know is 13, and you might have tried to squeeze that 1 in there, but check it out. That's what it should be, 1 3/10. Letter H. 1, that's 1, minus Need to line up the decimals. 24 hundredths. So I've got those lined up. I'm going to borrow from this one. I'm going to take one from there. That turns this one into 10, but then I have to borrow one from the 10, which turns it into a 9, and I have to make this one a 10 over here. So now I have 10 minus 4, which is 6, 9 minus 2, which is 7. The decimal comes straight down in the answer. 0 minus 0 is 0. So my final answer to this one would be 76 hundredths. Letter I. Go ahead and do letter I. That would be 9 tenths plus 12 hundredths. So in this one, I need to recognize that the decimals are lined up, the 9 and the 1. So I have 2 here, it'd be 2 plus nothing. And then 9 plus 1 is 10. Now remember, I'm not trying to squeeze 10 in between the decimal. The decimal is going to come straight down. That 1 has to carry on top of the 1's place value there. And I end up with 1 and 2 hundredths for the answer to 9 tenths and plus 12 hundredths. And then letter J, go ahead and do letter J. That is the last one you have today. 1 and 23 hundredths minus 4 tenths. That 4 needs to be under the 2 because that's in the tenths place. And then I have 3 minus nothing, which is 3. 2 minus 4 doesn't work. I have to borrow, so I'm going to borrow from here. That would be that. This turns into 12. 12 minus 4 is 8. And then 0 minus 0 is 0. Decimal comes straight down in the answer when you're adding and subtracting decimal numbers. And this would be 83 hundredths. All right. Nice job. If you missed anything, go back and review this lesson. We'll see you guys next time. Enjoy your evening.